The lasting exceptional value of the Ten Commandments can be grounded in their historical origin, their covenantal character, and their liberating power. The commandments originated not some particular process of philosophical meaning, nor from mystical contemplation, but from concrete historical events of Exodus and Mount Sinai. Therefore, to interpret them logistically as abstract generations is to wrench them from their living origin in God's creative, saving will in salvation history.
Moreover, the commandments are terms of the covenant, 10 words, revealing the pattern of life which is righteous in God's sight, the way of life which leads to happiness. In the Ark of the Covenant, the commandments had a central part in the liturgy of God's people, celebrated in Israel's great festivals, renewed through each succeeding generation. Thus, the commandments were not some originating event receding further and further into the past, but an open-ended covenant event looking ever to the future.
The first commandment is usually expressed, I am the Lord your God. You shall not have other gods besides me. Notice how the moral obligation, you shall not, is directly drawn from the reality, I am. But positively, the commandment enjoins the Lord your God shall you adore, him shall you serve. In today's idiom, its meaning could be expressed in a number of ways. Give God your Father his rightful place at the center of your lives. Live in faith, hope, and love in God the Father of all.
The second commandment is expressed as, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. It commands reverence for God's holy name, which represents God himself. We fulfill this commandment positively every time we repeat the prophet Isaiah's text in the Eucharistic acclamation, Holy, 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 Lord God of power and might. Heaven and earth are full of your glory.
Third commandment. Remember to keep holy the Sabbath day. Is usually formulated for Christians as, remember to keep holy the Lord's day. The third commandment enjoins us to keep holy the day set aside for the worship of God and for recreation. When grounded in its Old Testament context, it binds together the two tablets of the law. For two basic sources are given for this commandment. One, stressing our direct relationship to God, and other focusing on its human, liberating effects. Both dimensions are firmly rooted in our Filipino religious belief and cultural values tradition.
Fourth commandment, honor your father and your mother, is the usual way of expressing the fourth commandment. For most Christian Filipinos, this commandment is taken for granted. As it were, since Filipino culture so stresses their abiding utang na loob to their parents, yet number of clarifications are needed to properly understand the true meaning of commandment.
Commandment, you shall not kill, forbids direct attack to a human life and physical integrity. It thus protects God's gift of life and promotes practical care and respect for the life of dignity of all persons. We Filipinos generally know the biblical background of Cain's murder of his brother Abel. Even more relevant is God's solemn warning in his covenant with Noah that we will be held accountable for human life. Those who shed the blood of another, by others their blood shall be shed. For in the image of God we have been made. This indicates that the basis for the extraordinary value of human life is God. He is the Lord and giver of life, in whom we live and move and have our being.
The sixth commandment, you shall not commit adultery, seems simple and direct. It forbids married persons from entering into sexual union with someone other than their spouse. But for the ancient Israelites, this commandment had more social significance than sexual. Its aim was to protect the family, the absolutely necessary basis for society. The family and marriage were viewed directly in terms of the two Genesis creation narratives. God created man, male and female, so that man would not be alone.
The seventh commandment, you shall not steal, has undergone a development through history. The story of Joseph, favorite son of Jacob, whose envious brothers sold him into slavery for 20 pieces of silver, exemplifies his original prohibition against kidnapping. Each commandment of the second tablet then referred to a basic social right of the free Israelite. Life, the fifth commandment; marriage, sixth commandment; freedom, seventh commandment; honor, eighth commandment; and property, ninth and tenth commandment. Kidnapping has particular relevance to today's worldwide problem of terrorism. Taking hostages for ransom has become a political strategy that is not unknown even in our country. The seventh commandment makes it very clear we cannot use a person's life and liberty as a means to extort money or political advantage from others, no matter how noble the cause.
Eighth commandment, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Like the other commandments, this commandment must be understood in the context of the covenant. For truth and truthful witness in the Judeo-Christian tradition are never just an individual private matter. Neither do they refer to some impersonal philo-scientific notion of unveiling objective reality. Rather, truth means primarily that quality of human interpersonal relationships and behavior that is grounded in God the Father, the source of all truth, was fully manifested in His Son, Jesus Christ, who is the truth, come to set us free, and sends His Spirit of truth that proceeds from the Father.
The ninth commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, completes the sixth commandment by going to the interior root and source of disorder of the flesh. Covetousness of the heart, from the mind steep evil designs, murder, adulterous conduct, fornication, stealing, false witness, blasphemy. These are the things that makes a man impure.
The tenth commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, nor anything else that belongs to him. This commandment goes beyond the seven and deals with the disordered desires of the heart, its covetousness, from which stealing and exploitation of our neighbors arise. It forbids not only unjust craving for another's property, but also envy at the success of others. Envy is a capital sin, exemplified in Cain's envy, hatred, murder. Sinful pattern. Death itself is said to have come into the world by the envy of the devil, and they who are in possession experience it.
What is the value of the Ten Commandments for today?
The Ten Commandments today provide credible and moral norms for daily life since they constitute the basic moral imperatives flowing from our common human rights.
Also, it is the pattern for living according to Yahweh's covenant and Christ's double love commandment.
Lastly, accepted basis for discussing moral matters with non-Christians. The Ten Commandments are signposts toward authentic will.
So we hope that you follow and obey the 10 commandments of God so that we can become good Christians.
Hope you enjoyed the video.
And don't forget to spread the message you love.
And we are
The Friends of Peter!
In a voice loud and clear, let us tell the world of His love, the greatest love.